Hey, so we have the Ink and Copic Boys 9, the 9th one in a series. You can catch the other 8 on my channel after you watch this one, of course. Haha. Yeah, so I'm starting out with some microns. During this drawing, I used an 08, an 05, an 03, 01, and the 005 in the microns. And I had an odd thing happen. I had 2 BV31 Copic markers, and both of them dried up, which I was kind of surprised about. I have about 13 Copic markers, and all the other colors are not dried out, so that was really strange. So this particular drawing ended up with a different color than all the rest. Now I'll just have to do a little research about whether or not they can be livened back up with a little alcohol or not, because I mean they weren't really used that much, and for them to be dry is crazy. So in the end, I ended up using C1, C2, and C3 and the Colorless blender. There was also one other marker that I really enjoy that I used during this, and it's called the Tombow WS-BS 150. It's got a lot of Japanese writing on it, and it's a really terrific marker. It's supposedly the softer one of the series of these, but it has enough where it's really stiff, so that you don't have to have as much hand control as you would if you were using a brush marker that has fibers on the end, because this just has the regular brush pen point like you would expect on like a micron or something like that, but it's much more accurate, and you can get pretty fine lines, and you can get somewhat thick lines, not as thick as like a Pentel brush pen or something like that, no. But it's great because you can have a really good amount of control. Like, it's not so hard that you can't get good thicker lines, and it's not so soft that when you go to put the pen down that you just can't control it. It's got a good, like if you could have a slightly heavier hand, it's a great pen to possibly try out. So most of the time when I do these drawings, like this drawing, I will kind of give it like a rough idea sketch. They are definitely from reference, and I've been drawing them in a format that's just a little bigger than an ATC, those artist trading cards. Yeah, and they're on a Bristol. The Bristol used here is a Strathmore smooth Bristol. It's from a 9x12 pad, 100 pound, and basically I just take a sheet and I cut it into 8 bits and put a little Copic ink guy on each one. You might have also noticed that there are white rings around the numbers on my Micron pen. That's not how they come. I took a paint marker and I circled all the numbers on my Micron pens, because when they're just laying there, you can much more easily see which one that you're reaching for. So that's just a little thing I do that might interest you. You know, it just takes a little white paint marker and you just circle them. Yeah, so when I make these ink and Copic guys, I think they look passable at the end, so I enjoy doing them. But when I'm actually inking them, the moment that I'm actually inking them, it can be a little bit feeling like a challenge, where I do pause between strokes. Now this video is sped up like almost 800 times, so it's not as obvious, but I do have to think about it. I put down a few strokes and then I think about it, I put down a few more and I think about it. Yeah, because it's kind of a way to work when I'm inking, so that I guess it's because you don't want to goof it up too much, because it's, you know, in a traditional work you can't just hit undo, you know. When I finally do get to the Copic shading, it's a little bit less nerve-wracking, but you know, I still have to take a really good look at what I'm going to be marking next, or how I'm going to mark it. And you know, sometimes you have to think about turning the paper a little bit to get a better angle, and then when you're filming you don't want to turn it around too many times, because it's too hard to watch. So it's a little bit more challenging to draw it for the camera, because you're trying as much as you can not to really spin the thing around like every 2 seconds. Before speeding it up, before editing out bits and changing the speed, in real time, this is about, I'd say about 1 hour and 10 minutes to ink and Copic shade the work. To make my erasures, I had used completely the Kneaded eraser, but I had also gotten out if you wanted to know what that tool was there, it was a Tombow Mono 0, and they're great for when you draw because the eraser tip is so small, and it's easy to erase something really, really small. And you know, because sometimes when you use a kneaded eraser, even if you put it to a point, it's so soft you can't really erase what it is that you're looking to erase. So sometimes those Tombow Mono Zeros can be really great while you're drawing, especially at this scale, you know, an artist trading card scale. It's really helpful for that. And here you can see that I'm using the Copic markers, and I definitely had switched over to the C's, the C 1, 2, and 3. And you know, I started out light, and then I just got a little darker to change markers, and you know, just to try and get a little bit of shading in there, give it that nice look. I really enjoy it once the markers all get laid down and the work starts to come together. And when this piece is done, I probably won't sign the front. I mean, it's kind of small, and I wouldn't want it to look kind of garish or jarring or anything like that. I just want it to, you know, you just want to look at the work. I just want to say thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again in the next video.